everybody, thanks for coming to dance with me today. I'm Laura, and today we're going to be talking about the Shim Sham. Shim Sham is amazing. It's frequently referred to as the Tack national anthem, but it's done by Lindy Hoppers all over the world too. When you do the Shim Sham, you are connected to jazz-loving people all over the world and as far back as the 1920s. Now, one of the reasons why the Shim Sham is so popular is that it's a relatively simple line dance. It's predominantly only 4 moves, and that simplicity allows it to be done by more people and is an excellent platform for creativity and expression. Now, even though this is a solo dance, it's especially important for Lindy Hop because Lindy Hop relies so much on personal expression. So this allows you to have a chance to explore what your body wants to do to the music without also having to pay attention to a partner. You are a dancer before you are a partner dancer. In this video, we're mostly going to be dancing. We're going to be building up the choreography through dancing and breakdowns like that. There will be some explanation if you want more explanation. There's an excellent video of Frankie Manning and ERIN doing it. Frankie is one of the masters from back in the day. Definitely check that out. It will be linked in the description. Big thank you to the people on Patreon for helping to make this video possible. If you want to join them and make videos like this free for people like you, the link is in the description. Okay, the main body of the Shim Sham consists of only 4 moves, and all of those moves start on the 8 of the song. So it's important to know where that is. Let's clap that out together and then keep that going throughout the rest of the song. Now with your feet, a 5, 6, 7, ho! Next move, let's build it up. Moving on, let's push it. Now put them together. 5, 6, a 5, 6, 7, ho! Next move, Tack. Break. Step on 8. Now clap and rock step late. Now instead of clapping, let's kick. main body of the Shim Sham. Now let's just add a few pointers to make things a little bit better. For the Shim Sham, think of smaller steps. My heel is hitting the floor right below my knee, so it makes this nice satisfying sound. Keep in mind, this comes from tap. If you look at the version on the right, I'm thinking about making my steps big, so I'm having to reach out. In the version on the left, I'm just thinking about bouncing my butt and having some good rhythm. If you have that, you don't need to be big. Your conviction will make your movement obvious. Now let's look at part of the Tack, the stomp off. Again, it's about the rhythm. I'm trying to get this sound to come out of the movement of my body. You can see I'm scooting forward slightly on that bounce, 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 and 8. In the version on the right, I'm much more upright, and the stomp off comes almost entirely from my feet. See how high I pick my feet up, as though they are making the sound without any support from my body movement. Now let's look at the kick of the half break. I'm just letting my knee relax as I move my leg backwards for the rock step. Hopefully, it's looking relaxed. Contrast that with the version on the right. I'm really thinking about making that kick big instead of letting my movement do the work for me. If you want more time with the half break, there's a video linked in the description. Now we're going to change moves every phrase. If you have a hard time hearing where the phrases are in the music, I also have a video on that. Okay, let's dance through this together. There's a little change in the Tack section, but you already know all the parts. Just follow along and you will get it. In the beginning of the song, I'm going to tell you what's coming up. By the end of the song, I want you to remember what's coming up for yourself. After all, in order to do choreography, you have to remember the choreography. First up, we have the Shim Sham. 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, ho!
Deep rhythm captivates me. Hot rhythm stimulates me. Can't help but swing it, boy.
Next up, pushes and crossovers.
Don't stop to diddle daddle and stop this foolish pride.
Now keep those crossovers going, keep going, and stop. Tack Annie.
Reverend to go, and ain't nobody gonna hold me down. Say, listen, boy, hurry up and sit
Next up, half break.
down. Stop this diddle daddle and all this foolish prattle. Come on and kill me, boys. Swing it.
Back to the top. All right, now what's next?
Deep rhythm captivates me. High rhythm stimulates me. I can't help but swing it, boy.
Think about what's next.
Swing, brother, swing. Don't stop the diddle daddle and stop this foolish prattle. Well, come on.
What comes next?
Boys, swing it, brother, swing. Reverend, go, and there ain't nobody gonna hold me down. Say,
What comes next?
listen, boy, hurry up and send me, let me go to town. Stop this diddle daddle and all this foolish prattle. Well, come on and knock me out. Swing it, brother, swing.
Sometimes the transitions between the crossovers and the Tack Annie can be a little bit tricky. Here's that transition slowed down. 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3. Keep going and keep going and keep 6 and 8, 1. Okay, now we're gonna add something called the break. Now a break is basically 8 counts of whatever you wanna do. It can be super, super complicated. You can just be standing totally still. We'll get to that soon. The traditional break done in the Shim Sham is something called the full break or the TOBA break. TOBA stands for Theater Owners Booking Association, which was the vaudeville circuit for black performers in the 1920s. However, by many of the people being booked, it was known as tough on black artists because many of the theater owners were white, and TOBA typically had worse pay and worse accommodations that the performers had to pay for themselves. That's the thing about Lindy Hop history. It is Black American history. There's a lot of racism. We need to support black people today. So let's learn the TOB break now. Follow along.
Don't think me fresh or indiscreet when I say how to do. I've waited long enough, my sweet, for just 3 words with you. Well, what's your name? I could never guess it. What's your name? Wouldn't you confess it? What a shame we have never met before. But don't you see, everything's in order. Stick with me, mama's little daughter, sweet and free. Who could ever ask for more? Where were you all this time? From now on, please be mine. I don't care where you've been. Open your heart and let me in. Well, what's your name? Don't you wanna tell it? What's your name? Tell me how to spell it. Now's the time. You should have a name like mine. Oh, baby, please begin and tell me what's your name.
So where do we put the break? Typically, the break goes on the last 8 count of that 4/8 count phrase, but not always. So rather than over-explaining a simple thing, let's just dance through it. I'll call it out nice and loud.
Deep rhythm captivates me. Hot rhythm stimulates me. Can't help
And here's the break.
swing it, brother, swing. Don't stop to diddle daddle and stop this foolish prattle. Come on, swing me, boys. Swing it, brother, swing. Reverend to go, and ain't nobody gonna hold me down. Take this
And break.
hurry up and send me, let me go to town. Stop things,
Here's the break.
and all this foolish prattle. Come on and kill
Break.
boys. Swing it, brother, swing.
Same thing from the top. And here's the break. And break. same thing from the top.
Deep rhythm captivates me, high rhythm stimulates me. I can't help but swing a boy, swing, brother, swing. Don't stop the diddle-daddle and stop this foolish prattle. Well, come on and swing me, boys, swing it, brother, swing. Reverend, go, and there ain't nobody gonna hold me down. Say, listen, boy, hurry up and send me, let me go to town. Stop this diddle-daddle and all this foolish prattle. Well, come on and knock me out. Swing it, brother, swing.
Very nice. Now the transition between the Tack Annie and the break can be really tricky. Why? Because that stomp off on the Tack Annie is on 8 and the break begins on 8. They cannot happen at the same time. So you have to overcome that muscle memory. Let's work on that together. When I transition to the break, I push my body forward so I can make that first step of the break assertively. Now let's practice that transition. We're gonna do 1/8 of Tack Annies. You can think of it as the third 8 count of that phrase. And then we're gonna do the break, then we're gonna do Tack Annies, then we're gonna do the break, and we're gonna sandwich it up so we get some practice. That's the vast majority of the Shim Sham. Now, because this is a historic dance, let's take a water break and talk a bit about the history. An incomplete history of the Shim Sham. But this is the problem with talking about history, is a lot of the stuff is not well documented and it's passed down verbally, so there are a couple of different origin stories. A lot of the details are the same, some of the details are different. Of the online sources I found, the most common origin story was that it was made in 1927 by a tap dance duo, Leonard Reed and Willie Bryant, and they were choreographing for this act called the Whitman Sisters. Now, the Whitman Sisters were the song and dance troupe, and they were the longest running and highest paid act of the Black Vaudeville circuit, the TOBA circuit. The story goes that the Whitman Sisters needed a finale that everybody could join in on. So Leonard Reed and Willie Bryant made up this relatively simple dance that they called Goofus, and it was done goofily to Turkey in the Straw. An act called The Three Little Words saw it, loved it, slowed it down, and presented it at Connie's Inn in 1931. And because it was so simple, they invited everybody, including the waiters, to join in. Now, Marshall and Gene Stern's Jazz Dance doesn't mention the Whitman Sisters at all. According to Jazz Dance, it was presented at the Lafayette Theater, and that is where the Three Little Words saw it, loved it, slowed it down, presented it as the Shim Sham at Connie's Inn in 1931. One member of the act, Joe Jones, not that Joe Jones, said that he was the one that invented the Shim Sham during a rehearsal. Now, according to Jazz Dance, it's entirely possible that Reed, Bryant, and Jones, and others all invented the routine because it's comprised of so many elements of older steps. It is hard to document vernacular jazz, you guys. In his online lesson, Frankie Manning has yet another take on the origin of the Shim Sham, again with many overlapping details. In any event, the main things to remember are tap dance, Leonard Reed and Willie Bryant, late 1920s, early 1930s, and the dance was simple enough that everybody could get in on it. Tap dancers could go nuts, and waiters and singers and actors could hold down the basic. In the late 1980s, Frankie Manning simplified the Shim Sham by removing the taps, added a third course, which we will get to, and the Lindy Hop community has been doing it ever since. Now, of course, there are a couple of different versions of the Shim Sham now. You've got Alan Leon's Shim Sham, you've got Dean Collins' Shim Sham, but when somebody talks talks about the Shim Sham, they're talking about this Shim Sham. Of course, there is more history than this. If you want to learn about it, I have my sources in the description. Okay, let's get back to learning the Shim Sham, specifically Frankie's third chorus. Follow along. Start by clapping on that 8. Now add a hop. Step on the even beats. Now roll your hip around. Speed it up. Alternate. Boogie back. Boogie forward. Boogie back. And a boogie forward. Moving on, kick, ball, change, step. Kick, ball, change, step. Now walk. Now get low. Now work those knees. Speed it up. Now keep working that shorty or alternate. Practice with the Shorty George, there's a link in the description. That wobbly knee thing does take time, but honestly, keep on working on it. If you kickball change and walk forward with purpose in a crowd, nobody will notice. Okay, moving on. Let's put it all together. You've got the first chorus, which you already know. Second chorus, same thing, except you freeze instead of breaking. The freeze chorus, made in 1930, according to the sources that I saw. The third chorus, you just did it. Most of the time, the Shim Sham is done to Jimmy Lunsford's version of Tain't What You Do, but there are sometimes other songs, none of which I will play for you because I don't want the video to get flagged. As a matter of fact, if you hear any version of Tain't What You Do, don't even bother getting a partner. Depending on the song, sometimes there's an interlude between the first and second choruses during which people walk around. Don't worry about it, follow along, you will notice. After you do the whole thing, you find a partner and you social dance for the remainder of the song while a DJ yells, "Freeze! Dance!" and everybody freezes and dances. It's a great party.
Pass the bounce, keep the rhythm moving past the bounce. Don't hold up the groove and have 'em lightly, and politely say, pass it on, pass it on, pass it on. And you push it and you push it and you cross over and you push it and you push it and you cross over and you push it and you push it and you cross over and you cross over and you tack Jene.
Nothing but an everyday move with the tasty leg. Don't be slow, come get in the know. It's the hipster's latest skip past the bounds. Mr. Hurdy-gurdy past the bounds. Pass it on the dirty tap nightly and politely say, pass it on, pass it on, pass it on its way.
The journey is just beginning. Because this dance is so simple, as compared to other choreographies done by professional dancers, it is a platform for style, and people can really do it up. So as you feel comfortable, play with it. Get inspired by other dancers. What can you and your body do? I hope that was helpful. If it was, click like and subscribe for the algorithm. If you want music, it's in the description. If you want merch, it's in the description. And 50% of the money from this channel goes towards organizations that support Black diasporic art and artists.